And welcome back, folks, to Bite Size Sports. I am Kev with you on a Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day, everyone. Hope you're having a good time. Maybe I'm catching you in your cookout preparation, whatever you're doing. Hope you're having a blessed one. We got a big show today, so I'm just going to get right into it. First things first. Big breaking, absolutely shocking news, folks, from the world of the NBA. You're not going to believe this one when I show it to you, so bear with me for the dramatics here. James Harden is not happy with his team. The Clippers are the problem for James Harden, and he may demand a change in the team or request a trade. I, for one, am shocked. Whoever would have thought that James Harden would, for the fourth time, blame everything on everybody else and demand that yet another organization cater to his needs, his every whim, because that works so well for Houston and to a lesser extent with Philly. And, Brooklyn, maybe not the exact same situation, but it's pretty darn similar. Sorry, we're still in the first 3 minutes. And heck, you go all the way back to Thunder times. And maybe that one I couldn't, a lot of us maybe wouldn't necessarily blame James Harden for wanting to go be the top dog. The years in Houston, at least during his prime, certainly support him betting on himself. But at this point, I'm paraphrasing the broadcaster that's already gone on a tirade about this. But when everyone you run into today is an asshole, chances are the asshole is you. So, with all due respect, this is mind-blowing to me. I shouldn't be surprised by this, but somehow I managed to be. What? How many teams are left, James? How many bridges do you intend to burn on your way out? Who else is going to give you this opportunity, especially watching all the times that it doesn't work? Who's going to take that chance? Now, maybe seeing what's going on in Dallas right now with the resurgence of Kyrie Irving, maybe there will be some GMs out there and coaches that are willing to take the chance. But a bold strategy here by James Harden, if it is in fact a true report there. But no reason to doubt Stein, in my humble opinion. So there we have it, folks. Welcome again back to the show. We've got a full slate for you today. We're going to be talking about a lot of NBA stuff. We've got LeBron leaving LA, a potential big four in Phoenix. Got a recap of this weekend's Carnage Media pay-per-view as a little bit of a prequel to this week's Carnage Unleashed, as well as my thoughts on both the King and Queen of the Ring, PLE, and AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Of course, we're going to talk about Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals. We're also going to talk about some new sponsorship news. Bite Size Sports is now involved with a new sport. We, of course, have our wonderful iRacing car. David Westergreen, shout out to him, does a great job. But we've got some new folks in the mix, and I can't wait to talk to you all about it. That will be later in the show. But one more opening segment. Sorry, John. Everybody shut up. Before I get into any of the Eastern and Western Conference Finals stuff, I did want to just take a moment as a Cubs fan to celebrate the fact that Fernando Valenzuela, easy for me to say, pal, is back, and he plays for the Chicago Cubs. Shota Imanaga. See, I'm terrible. I should have had more coffee before I tried to say all of these names. A rookie sensation, I believe, still leading the league in ERA. Just wow, dude. When it comes to baseball, guys, I'm a fan and not an analyst, so I will keep the baseball talk to a minimum when it's just me up here. Hopefully, we can get Nate and maybe even David, who was a co-host on the Bat Flip podcast. Go check them out. Give them a subscription. Let them know Bite Size Sports sent you, please. But John, I hate to do it, brother, but since we're here, you want to talk about Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals. Probably going to meld these two together because, like John, I am depressed. There we go. Can you see the flag? There it is. Pacers flag. Not a great time for some of us here in the Final Four. When asked about some of his thoughts on Game 3, Anthony Edwards said, "They shot 31 free throws, we shot 17." To which, as a Pacers fan, I can only say, "You got 17 free throws? What's that like?" Holy shit, what the Pacers would do with 17 free throws in a game. My God, dude. The Pacers had TJ McConnell and Nemhard going off in Game 3 and still couldn't withstand the 18-point comeback. Now, of course, there may be some questionable calls in that one as well. But you know what we're going to say here? You know what we always say? You can't put it in the ref's hands. You got to handle business. When you're up 18 points, you just got to find a way. And Rick Carlisle, in my opinion, is not without some blame here. A situation late in Game 3 where I believe he should have called a timeout led to a Drew Holiday steal. Then, of course, they did draw up a pretty good play to get the final shot off, so it wasn't all doom and gloom, but I just think the Pacers could be better coached, and the refs certainly didn't help. Let's see what John has to say about the Western Conference Finals here. Cat is 15 and 54 in this series, 3 of 22 from 3. I lost it. I had a giggle fit when I saw the overlay on the game. It had Bad Kitty was the name of the graphic when they showed Karl Anthony Towns, which I don't know how that one got through QA. I mean, I get it. It technically does make sense, but Bad Kitty, huh? Oof. Refs were hosing for sure. Bite Size Mike says there were a lot of soft ass calls both ways, to be fair. Yeah, and that I don't want to sit here and I won't make a ton of excuses and complain about the refs too much, but I do think we can all acknowledge at this point that the officiating is awful. And these are the most important games of the season. These are when the best of the best should be officiating. And the majority of the games have questionable, controversial calls in key moments. And whenever it gets brought up, the NBA reaches out to ESPN and says, "Hey, tell Jeff Van Gundy to shut up." They don't fix the problem. They address the problem by acknowledging some of their mistakes in the 2-minute report. We've talked about that before. That almost makes it worse for me. I kudos for correcting or catching on to your mistakes, but I don't see head coaches publishing their film sessions on Tuesdays. Like, here's where this guy missed all these blocks. I'd rather you just fix the problem instead of constantly confirming that you have all of these problems. That's not really doing anything for me when you're doing that. So get better, refs. John says here, let the boys play. Tony Brothers and Ben Taylor straight to jail. They wanted the spotlight on them. No two ways about it. You do have some of those refs that seem to be, at the very least, having an ego trip. If they're not a bit power hungry and wanting to control the game and maybe be in the spotlight, as John says here, I've seen this is for some of the younger folks in the crowd. I've seen Tim Duncan, maybe known as one of the most level-headed, not shit-talking players in the NBA, get teed up by an official because he went to the bench and sat down and was laughing at the situation. We have guys throwing people out, teeing people up, maybe not necessarily throwing people out in the playoff games, but it happens in the regular season. Teeing folks up in playoff games over the fact that they're emotional. Of course they are. Dude, we're in the Final Four. These teams are what? Well, some of them are 5 wins away. Others are 8 wins away from achieving for what most of them has been a lifelong goal. Of course they're going to get pissed if they perceive the call is bad. That's part of that's an orientation. I speak on this from a point of view that I know what I'm talking about to a lesser degree. Okay, I was an OSHA certified official in the state of Ohio, officiated high school games, club college games, intramural stuff at the collegiate level. So obviously, no Division I officiating, no NBA officiating. I'm not trying to put myself where I don't belong. However, I've officiated games that were important to the people playing in them. I have had my ass chewed out for calling a block or a charge in a way that someone disagreed with. I've also been easy for me to say. I have also been a coach and been reprimanded for leaning into the officials a little bit too much. So I understand all of this. As an official, you're told early on that that's part of the job. You're going to get yelled at by players, coaches, certainly the fans. If you're not willing to take that heat, don't show up. Go get a different job. I wouldn't even make live streams, because you got live comments here, by the way. Fire away, boys, in the chat if you got something to say. But I mean, go be a YouTube content creator like we are and just private all your comment section. Don't accept any feedback from anybody at any time. You certainly don't belong officiating in the biggest sports in the world on their grandest stage. Because while we're addressing the issue, let's not pretend that this is a basketball specific issue. There are entire Twitter accounts dedicated to how bad the umpires are in Major League Baseball. Hi, Angel Hernandez. The NFL, we all remember their conference championship getting ended on the most blatant no call on a pass interference of all time. And I understand that was a couple of years ago. You tell me if you think the officiating has actually gotten any better than that, unless you're a Chiefs fan watching their offensive line play. I doubt you're going to be very happy with some of the refs' highlights over the past few years. So I don't know what it is. Are these men not compensated enough? I don't know what is going on. It has to be addressed. Are there just not enough people interested? Are there no youthful candidates? There's nobody young, new coming in. Hell, you don't even have to be young, but shit, what's going on? Why are there so many bad officials still employed at the top levels of the sport? John also says here, Golden Boy Luka gets to throw a tantrum every few possessions. Well, he did grow up idolizing LeBron James, John, so you have to give him a bit of a break there. He's going to emulate LeBron at every turn, so throwing those temper tantrums, that's just part of the gig, pal. And since we're on the LeBron topic, should we do it here, folks? Let's go ahead and get this one pulled up. LeBron James is officially a free agent, to the shock of all of you, I'm sure. No one saw this coming. Here we have from Evan Sittery, the Suns are hoping to pursue LeBron James this offseason. Hold that thought. Which is why Bronny James is a very serious draft option at number 22 overall to potentially lure him in. Phoenix appears to believe they can convince LeBron to join forces with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal to create a historic super team. LeBron would be sacrificing almost $50 million next season. I hope we're keeping track of all the talking points here in this one tweet. Yeah, moving on. If he were to legitimately consider joining the Suns on a veterans minimum contract, could the Suns really be plotting LeBron and Bronny as their big plan? It certainly seems that is on the table. So, folks, what? No shot, okay? Absolutely not. There's no way that this happens. Uh, a veteran minimum. I don't even know where to start. Okay. Uh, Phoenix appears that they sorry, I can't even read. I'm so shook here. Phoenix appears to believe they can convince LeBron to join forces with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. Let's start there. Would LeBron actually want to play with Kevin Durant? And also, would Kevin Durant be willing to once again have this super team narrative? Maybe he doesn't care. He kind of seems like he cares when you look into his Twitter behavior with his burners and all that stuff. So I do think he kind of cares a little bit, even though he says he doesn't. I don't know that for either player's legacies that this would be something that LeBron or Durant would be interested in. And now John brings up a good point here. John's going to get a producer's credit for this show, by the way. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you so much. It's got to be a Beal sign and trade, right? Which leads me to this next point. LeBron would be sacrificing almost $50 million next season if he were to legitimately consider joining the Suns on a veteran minimum contract. What about the history of one LeBron James makes anyone believe that this is a legitimate possibility? I cannot imagine LeBron James taking said pay cut. I can't imagine him signing a veterans minimum. It's going to be a few years. If he really wants to play Tom Brady style into like the mid 40s, okay, maybe those final seasons are a vet minimum. It's not going to be now. Shout out to Nate in the chat. Appreciate you, brother. So would it be a Beal sign and trade? So that's the question here. Is LeBron still an option for them if they don't want to create this starting lineup? Brought to you by Kevin O'Connor at Kevin O'Connor NBA. If we're not doing the Beal sign and trade, then this could be our future right here. All this to lose in the first round of the Western Conference Finals. Bronny must be so excited to be rich soon. Yeah, life-changing money for Bronny James coming in. First of all, this is horrifying. Not my KOC. Oh, I don't know if he is endorsing it. He's just asking if it's going to happen. Now, my response was a big no. But even with the sign and trade, I mean, theoretically, LeBron fits with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker around him. That's been the MO for years, right? Got to have your shooters around LeBron. I still think they're thin in the front court when it comes playoff time as far as a rim protector. And the older LeBron gets, the less he'll be able to continue to attack the paint and score. I mean, he's going to get the whistle, so we'll have that. I don't think this team wins a ton of games. And it's just ridiculous. I love this part. We're not even in the offseason yet, but we already have wild LeBron speculation. And that's what you get when LeBron is officially a free agent. So my last question to the audience before we move on from the LeBron topic is, are we all 100% certain that he will not be a Laker next year? Like, are we ready to close the book on LeBron as a Laker? My personal answer is yes, I do think it's over. I don't know that I trust and believe that the whole Bronny situation is actually going to be what happens. I think he might let Bronny get drafted. And as I just mentioned, if he's playing for a few more years, when he is more of a veteran minimum kind of guy, maybe at that point he joins Bronny. But I just don't see a situation in which a team that can win in the next 2 years, win a title, that is, if that is still one of LeBron's motivators. I don't see how they're going to be in a position to reach to draft Bronny while also having the money to sign LeBron. So I really don't, I have no idea where LeBron is going to go. I lied. There's going to be one more question about this because I forgot the other obvious suggestion that I have seen, and it's not this one. Okay, LeBron going to Indiana is very funny, Nate. I appreciate that. Will it be Cleveland? Is it going to be a return home? I've seen a lot of folks, even just regular old folks that I know on social media talking about, go get a job bartending in Cleveland next summer because you're going to make a ton of money off of LeBron being back. I am going to press X to doubt on LeBron once again coming back to Cleveland. Maybe he's enough to push them over the hump. Cleveland's kind of a mess to me. You fire in your head coach because you didn't win a championship with this team. I think this has been a really good Cavs squad over the last couple of years. I often question these teams that fire good coaches in the middle of good playoff runs because they're not winning championships, as opposed to just trying to retool the roster a little bit and make another run. Sometimes I think you can overthink and put yourself into a bad situation. Paging Milwaukee Bucks, okay? How many coaches are they going to fire and be paying for still by the time they finally find Mike Budenholzer's replacement, who, by the way, after a year off is again a top head coaching candidate? So sometimes it's just better to dance with the one that brought you, man. I know that's a novel concept in the year of our Lord 2024, but I think the Cavs are kind of a mess now, and I think LeBron would make that mess even sloppier, and I think it's a terrible idea. Milwaukee Raiders. Cleveland wants a staff that doesn't bicker so much. God damn, I wish I had a soundboard for the rim shot on that one. Good work, John. John also says, I think he should sign a 1-1 with LA and join Bronny when he's 42 or whatever. And this exactly, well, words exist for a reason, Kevin. Not exactly, but I agree with this conceptually. Where I differ is maybe it's not the Lakers, but on the joining Bronny down the road, 100% I agree with you on that one, John, because also, as you mentioned, him being so excited to be rich soon, while I seriously doubt LeBron is going to be taking hefty pay cuts anytime soon, I don't know about Bronny. He might be willing to, and so after he's done with his free agent contract, especially if it's just a 1-year deal, Bronny might be willing to sign a very reasonable 1 or 2 year deal or a 1-1 with a fringe contender and join his dad in 2 years. Because listen, Thanasis Antetokounmpo is still on an NBA roster, which lets you know that these franchises absolutely are willing to let a little nepotism come into play and keep a star player happy. And while for good reason, I just mentioned the Milwaukee Bucks, maybe not the best example, of how to make good decisions and maintain a championship level franchise, it happens. It clearly happens. People will do things to keep their star players happy, and that's what we have going on here. We'll see where LeBron goes. I can't deny it. All my hate aside, the fact that LeBron is a free agent is great for the NBA. This offseason chatter is going to be absolutely phenomenal for all of us. We get to revel in the glory. Well, there we go. My apologies. We had some technical difficulties. Thank God I have a hotspot on my phone. So the show goes on. Appreciate anybody still here. That puts a cap on the NBA section of the program. However, friendly reminder, I'll talk about anything you'd like to talk about. Well, not anything, but if you are interested or would like us to talk about something else, fire away in the chat or in the comment section, and potentially we will talk about it. So it might not be closing the book on the NBA talk for this show, much like LeBron's future with the Lakers. It's still up in the air. Mine says I thought it was my Wi-Fi. I don't know what has been going on here the last couple of days, but the internet just keeps shutting off. I usually run through the Ethernet, and I had to just unplug it and switch back to the hotspot. So apologies if the connection gets a little choppy. It won't be quite as strong. And I might not pull up as many visual aids as I was previously, so we can run smoothly. But speaking of running things smoothly, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about our most recent Carnage Media pay-per-view card, Fight Night in Fostoria 2. You can go check it out right now on Carnage Media's Facebook page. They have the link to the pay-per-view. It's still available. If, however, you cannot afford the pay-per-view, that is A-OK too. Just subscribe to the Carnage Media YouTube channel. We do put the bouts out for free later on. Yesterday was not smoothly. Oh, Nate was out there in the rain at the Indy 500. Good pay-per-view job the other day. Oh, thank you, brother. I appreciate you tuning in. That means a hell of a lot to me. It was a big show for us. We got all new equipment. I have a headset mic now with an industrial cough button. Any of you following me on Twitter or Facebook saw that, and I we it was phenomenal, man. We have a third camera now, so we have the hard cam and two cameramen in each corner. Our ring announcer, Mike Bennett, did a phenomenal job. Shout out to him. We now have him mic'd up too, so we get the direct feed from him, not just the arena mic. Just really, really stepped up their game. Shout out to Zach and Wade, the co-founders of Carnage Media, for setting us up to look and sound great. And a big thank you to my co-host Amin L, a pro boxer who has taught me so much about the sport that I have been blessed to soak that up and sort of regurgitate what I've learned from him. And it was a pretty cool situation. We've done shows together for the last about year or so, and he had a couple of slap me on the arm moments because the shit he's teaching me is finally sinking in. So please go check that out, or like I said, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and it will be available here in the coming weeks. But we had 9 bouts, so 3 different sections of the fight. This was amazing. We had youth amateurs all the way up to pro boxers, and the youth folks, they are amazing. We had some Olympic level athletes that are about 12, 13 years old. One of them was a 9-time national champion, and he was going up against so it was the battle of the Jameses. So it was James Braggs, a 9-time national champion, taking on James Smith, who had previously defeated James Bragg, and it was a great bout. Bragg got his win back, and now we will hopefully see another rematch. But I won't go through the entire card with you guys because that is what we do on Wednesdays right here. If you're already subscribed, you will be watching wherever you're watching it right now. It will be available there. It will also be streaming to our Carnage Media platform. So come hang out with me, our co-founder Wade, and Clayton Scalina of Hot Take Sports. Go ahead and subscribe to them. He is also my co-commentator, and he's the guy who runs the show when I am not there. So he's a great person to follow on social media. C Scalina 12. Give him a shout. Let him know we sent you if you go check out a Hot Take Sports episode. But we also had pro bouts. James Wesley versus Darius Carr. The real Street Jesus, Marcelino Rangel, took on Kendall Moore. And our main event was Razor Ramel Turan taking on Ram Bam Ramsey Beard. It was a phenomenal outing, and go ahead and check that out. Again, no more spoilers from me. We will talk about it all on Wednesday, but I wanted to give a shout out to those folks at Carnage Media because I also have a big announcement on the fighting front. Yours truly, the Bite Size Sports Group, are now sponsoring some fighters, folks. We are proud to be a part of Gates, the Sniper Cooks fight sponsorship team. Gates has an upcoming bout here on June 22nd. Forgive me, we'll move me down here. And going up against Jacob Yancey, June 22nd. Gates is a hell of a fighter. He's been doing this for, I think it's a little over a year now. One of the best 170 fighters in the state. Actually won Ohio MMA's Rising Star Award. Well, check that. He actually was the co-champion. It was a king and queen situation, and I bring that up because our other featured sponsored fighter here on Bite Size Sports is none other than Sydney Leith, who has her next bout on July the 20th. Another phenomenal fighter, one of, if not still, the most viewed fight on Carnage Media's YouTube channel right now. Go check that out. Sydney Leith, a hell of a fighter. We again are honored to be a part of both Gates and Sydney's fight sponsorship team. And on our end, now we kind of feel like we have a bite-sized sports fight team to go along with our wonderful iRacing team. So very excited about this. More news to come on our website, bitesizesports.com. Be sure to check it out. I have been in contact with Gates and Sydney about going in for some podcasts, maybe some interviews. They are on board. Obviously, as you can see, they both are in fight camps right now. They've got some big events coming up, so I'm going to work around their schedule. But you will be hearing and seeing more from both of them. Let me shine the light on them completely right here. So this is a post from a post we had earlier in the year, right there in January, as the Ohio MMA News made their announcements. And interestingly enough, we had Gates and Sydney win as the king and queen. So that is really just coincidence. We're incredibly lucky to be working with two of the best up and coming fighters in the state of Ohio. And I just cannot thank those two enough for bringing us on, and you guys at home for watching and participating. We couldn't be here without all of you. So if you're new here, please like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our incoming content, whether it be the combat sports stuff here that we do in collaboration with Carnage Media, or potentially coming soon, a collaboration with the Lima Warriors, a football team that I'm doing commentary for. So once again, thank you to our two newest athletes. Official release coming on bitesizesports.com. And while we're here and talking about Carnage Media and Black Swamp Productions, I just want to take another moment to thank those folks and anybody who has tuned in, whether it be to one of our many pay-per-view events or to on the Black Swamp production side. If you ever caught an Ohio Extreme game for Major League Indoor Soccer, or if you currently watch us on the Lima Warriors football page, part of the Players Football Association, we thank you all very much. And if you have a league out there that not enough people are getting eyes on, you can DM me directly. You can reach out to the folks at BSP. You can reach out to Carnage Media. They have pages on Facebook. You can reach out to us on Bite Size Sports, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever is easiest for you. Hell, you can leave a comment on this very video. Also, DM me on Twitter, something like that. Whatever works, we would love to work with you. We take pride in bringing new eyes to all different kinds of sports. Currently, across the Midwest, someday across the United States. So thank you all so much who have been here for the ride to start. And let's get back in to the content. Now, folks, this next segment is brought to you by our other Carnage Media collaboration, the Wrestling Minute. So for those of you who are not fans of the squared circle, no harm, no foul, no offense taken, brother. I feel you. Have a wonderful Memorial Day. And if you want to talk some other sports on your way out, leave me a chat. We will absolutely talk with you. But I got some things I got to get off my chest as the wrestling guy around here. I feel like this weekend doesn't represent me, doesn't represent us very well. I feel like Dennis Reynolds in the Family Feud episode, right? Just screaming on the floor, kicking and crying how this doesn't represent me. This is the stuff that had wrestling fans closing their lockers quickly back in my day when I was in school. You didn't want to see anybody to see that damn Kane poster in your locker because you might get made fun of. Something I saw last night I hadn't felt since Baron Corbin dumped a whole bucket of Alpo dog food on Roman Reigns. But before we get into Saturday's card or Sunday's card, we're going to talk about Saturday's card. King and Queen of the Ring. First of all, with the pay-per-views, with the way that they have so many and some don't mean hardly anything, they'll have names like Backlash. No, I am not anti there being one of each. I'm not Jim Cornette on this one, where you can't have a women's Royal Rumble because you have a men's Royal Rumble. You can't have a women's War Games because you have a men's War Games. Money in the Bank, etc., etc. That's not me. However, I do agree that having them on the same event kind of waters it down. And in this situation, the card was already pretty thin, so it's not like it made it too long and boring. That's something we'll talk about a little later. But it still it kinda, I don't know, it makes it feel a little less important, a little less unique. Why wouldn't you spread these things out? Just let there be a Queen of the Ring pay-per-view. You can still have other feuds and stuff on it. replace Backlash with that. You can even run them back to back if you want. I don't know, maybe this isn't the greatest idea, but I don't understand why they can't separate these things, and then you'd essentially have more of your pay-per-views that have a big attraction match that people might wanna see in person. Maybe you don't do it with every single thing, but it's just weird that everything is double now. It feels like it waters it down a bit. I didn't care much for this pay-per-view, but I I don't know what to say. I didn't hate it, I guess. I had no expectations for it, so it was hard to disappoint me. I thought the main event match was decent. Well, I mean, I guess it was good. I just really hate Logan Paul. It's very difficult for me to give that man credit at all, give him his flowers, so to speak, when he's a known scammer. And I'm not even gonna say anything about the drink because, I don't know what I'm talking about. People are getting sued about it, so we'll just move on there. But overall, a decent event. I have a hard time judging the overseas Saudi Arabia events specifically, not necessarily every overseas card. It's weighted differently. To be honest, any of the international cards I do feel a bit differently about because it's maybe a once a year if you're lucky, but a once every couple of years event for the folks there. So I understand catering a little bit more to the live audience than you would the regular TV viewing audience. But uh, some of these Saudi shows, until this one had the King and Queen of the Ring, a lot of times Crown Jewel has felt like a bonus show that was just a bunch of dream matches that it didn't really matter. It was almost crafted specifically knowing that it's gonna be at a weird middle of the day time and no one in America is gonna watch it. Now with Peacock and everything being a premium live event and the traditional pay-per-view being out the window, I think some of that has subsided. Also, the IWC just having a lot more people tweeting about wrestling, this stuff. I think it's easier to stay in the loop than it ever has been, and it's now you can also just put the pay-per-view on your phone and put an earbud in if you've got something going on in the middle of a Saturday. So, I never have high expectations for these cards, and therefore, I have a hard time giving it any sort of rating or a spirited review because it was just kinda meh for me. Uh, right decisions with was it Gunther, King of the Ring? The Nia Jax finish was think that was gnarly. So that was a cool finish to the match. Not a big Nia Jax fan. I think if I wonder if The Rock were no longer involved at a higher level, if she would even be back. I know a lot of wrestlers came back when it became Triple H's main job and Vince McMahon was out the door. So maybe she'd been here regardless, but I wonder about this push. But how many heels? They don't really have any good heels to push in the women's division because the best heel that they have is over as hell to the point where everybody cheers her anyway. And she's also out with an injury right now, that being Rhea Ripley for those following along. But I, this was just kind of meh for me. I, and I wanted to get that one out first because I have a lot more to say about AEW's pay per view, Double or Nothing. A little maybe more nothing for me next time. Thanks. No, I'm kidding. All right. It's not gonna be a complete hatchet job. And I wanted to do the WWE first so that anyone getting here won't be upset or at least won't be able to claim that I'm just another WWE shill that only sides with my preferred brand. I have said it before, but I'll say it again before we go into this. I don't want to hate AEW. I don't even hate AEW. What I want, what I think a lot of wrestling fans want is a healthy alternative, and by healthy I mean business wise, financially stable, an option for high paying performers to be able to go that is outside of the WWE's umbrella. So I want AEW to be strong. I want it to be booked well. I want it to be a viable competitor to the WWE. Hell, I would love to see TNA get a little healthier and be a nice sort of, forgive me for this, minor leagues option for again for maybe guys who are buried at the mid card at AEW or WWE because both of these companies have inflated rosters. I think that's putting it lightly. So there's always going to be a need for some smaller territory style federations, but I want AEW to do well. That's why some of this stuff is so irritating. Uh, Now, don't get me wrong, at times it's funny to just go ahead and laugh at, but most of the time it's like, dude, god damn it. Like this is I don't think it's as hard as they're making it out to be, but sometimes a little effort goes a long way. So let's just get into it because there's a lot of stuff that I liked and it was really just kind of soured by a bad ending for me. So to start things off, the Osprey match, I thought it was a little early to put a belt on him because I don't think he needs it. Maybe the most over face in that company right now, a new signee, the big free agent that came over. I think even though this isn't your main title, I think there's a lot of interest in a chase with a character like that. You've got the whole flirting with being a heel in the Don Callis family. I just didn't think this match needed to happen. So it's not to say I think Roderick Strong should have won. That's definitely not the case. But I just didn't think this match needed to happen yet. Love the idea of seeing these two wrestle, but I didn't think it needed to have a belt. Ooh, Justin Herbert says LeBron to Philly. Ooh, that's a good take. I like that. I will circle back to that one, Herbert. Love seeing you here in the chat. And we'll circle back to the NBA and some NFL stuff here. I'm going to power through the rest of this pay-per-view review AEW last night, but appreciate you coming in here. And if you've got a few minutes, don't go anywhere. We definitely want to talk about some of that. I don't know if Nate will be here to hear about it, but 7 picks and OTMs. By God, indeed. And going into the next segment, of AEW. Adam Cole comes out. Thank God he's not on crutches anymore. He cuts the most nonsensical promo of all time. I'm going to try to recap it for you. Hey, Vegas, who's ready for story time with Adam Cole, baby? I love this comment right here, Justin. Thank you. And he says, story time is that you all suck. I shouldn't even be here. I should be checking on Roddy, or better yet, I should be out hanging out with the Undisputed Kingdom. But I am disrespected. And as soon as I'm healthy again, or I shouldn't even be in this city. I should be finishing my rehab. And no matter what I've done since I've got here, I'm disrespected. And I'm the devil, and when you all see me come back after I'm healthy, the devil will get his due, and then he goes to do his Adam Cole Bebe thing. And wouldn't you know it, MJF comes back dressed just like Triple H in 2020, or what, 2022, dressed just like Triple H in 2002 and wearing a spray tan that reminded me of Rudy Giuliani's dye job. This man was sweating brown liquid by the end of his promo. And to make matters worse, he took his shirt off, which then made it abundantly clear that they had added an extra layer of the spray tan to the front side of his body and not to the back. So I don't know if that was very well thought out, but he cuts a fiery promo telling most wrestling fans exactly what they want to hear. No more kangaroo kicks, no more brochachos, no more of that stupid comedy shit that turned your biggest attraction into just just another one of the boys. So he's back. probably going to be a heel, even though, he still should be getting revenge on the other heels. But I think at this point, AEW just wants to move on and pretend like the whole thing never happened. And I don't necessarily blame them for that. Just move on, do new stories with MJF. But glad to see him back. They need it. I think they're at a bit of a lull right now. Ratings would suggest that to be the case. So uh, who am I to disagree there? Moving on, we got a lot of matches. I'm gonna try to get through them all. Sorry if I missed some. We had the Trent Beretta Orange Cassidy match. I didn't hate it. Probably liked it more than I thought I would. Not a big Orange Cassidy guy. How much money is Tony Khan gonna spend on music? I understand the Pixies is a throwback, but it was also very uneventful. You got a guy winning a match, and then it's the Pixies. Where is my mind? Is what plays. Like it's not, there's no excitement there. There's no pop moment. It's just oh, cool. I'm super hyped now. So I don't know. I understand the nostalgia pop for the intro, but as the victory music, I thought it sucked. And what a waste of money. We'll talk about money wasting and overtly pointing at that here a little bit later. So let's keep going. The For the World title with the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho, my God, taking on Hook and Shibata. Of course, the Redwood, Big Bill steps in, interferes. Jericho gets the dirty win and pins Shibata, not Hook, because that's right. I forgot about that. Keith also showed up. There was two interferences. So the guy who lost the triple threat eliminator match, in which for the first time that I can remember, which I think was interesting. They had two guys slap submissions on at the same time. So instead of a draw, instead of having them fight it out there, it's a triple threat match. Don't know how many people wanted to see that. Let me know if you're a fan of this stuff. You've been following in the comments. Were you wanting this to be a triple threat match? I thought the whole thing has just been about Jericho and Hook. So I just see this as extending that storyline. They purposely had him pin Shibata. So I am assuming here the storyline going forward is going to be Jericho continuing to be annoying and say, "Well, you lost, so now you go to the back of the line." They do the back of the line thing kind of a lot, and so then Hook will have to beat some challengers set out by Chris Jericho. Probably the final one being Big Bill, and then here in a month or two, Hook will win the FTW championship for the fourth time, which is that doing anything for the young wrestler to be a four-time holder of his dad's invented belt? I understand if you're gonna come from the perspective that they're all props or whatever. If you're gonna pull Ryback on me, fine. But even in storyline, in the continuity of kayfabe, the FTW championship is just a made up championship by Taz. So how is this not just obvious nepotism that Hook keeps getting it? I don't know. It's just a weird looking decision for me. And anything involving Jericho right now is about as hot as a cold wash rag. So no thanks. Moving on. The triple threat, the trios match. I admit that's a break. That's a break segment for me. Not big into the trios, but hey, Juice is back. Maybe the Bang Bang Gang will get a little bit more exciting. That's just that one's another disappointment for me. You had Switchblade Jay White, who is now just like Switchblade, some guy, and maybe having Juice back will, pun intended, bring some juice back into this faction. But one trios title was enough for me. They didn't need to. Unifying them doesn't make it any better for me. Uh, God, don't even get me started on what Ring of Honor could have been and what it's become. My God, I'll literally be here all night. Tony Storm gets her victory. The side storyline, that the part that's worth paying attention to, other than uh, having her opponent act like a heel. I wonder if that had anything to do with Brian Alvarez's rant. Um, was that Mariah May was trying to throw the towel in. Looks like it's a little it's about to be a heel turn for her. And Luther got blamed for it. So Tony currently is none the wiser. We'll see how that plays out. I imagine soon. If it's not the next pay per view coming here soon, it's going to be Tony versus Mariah for the belt. And we'll talk about another women's title match. Willow Nightingale took on Mercedes Moné, and I didn't hate the match. It wasn't the best match I've ever seen. A couple of sloppy bits here and there, but I had to remind myself Mercedes hasn't wrestled in quite some time. It's her first time back in the ring. So all things considered, I thought it was a decent match. The way the storyline played out made it appear that Statlander incidentally cost Nightingale the win by getting an argument with the ref while Nightingale had Monet pinned. And then afterwards, while being berated by her manager, Chris Statlander steps up, knocks him down, William Stokely, shoves him down, says, Willow, you don't have to take this shit. But the keen eyed observers would have noticed that Chris Statlander was wearing all black as she accompanied her friend to the ring. And wouldn't you know it, when she got to the ramp, it was a clothesline, a swerve. Chris Statlander and Stokely Carmichael are now enemies of Willow, which I imagine means that's her next feud. I don't know who's coming for Mercedes Moné's belt. Or, I mean, fuck, this is AEW, so it's probably going to turn into a triple threat match that involves Statlander and Nightingale, because you can't just pick one fucking storyline at a time. I'm like, oh, this guy and this lady have beef, so let's do it together for the world belt. Sound familiar? But didn't hate the match, didn't hate the outcome. The problem that I have with some of this stuff is there's a lot of the same things. You know, although this time it wasn't. There, both champions didn't get turned on tonight. They're alluding to it in the same night. Both women's championships are going to have a double cross involved. Again, I don't know why you can't spread these things out. Um, and then that takes me to the barbed wire steel cage match. Guys, if your main event is an anarchy in the arena match that's going to include thumbtacks and sneakers, pile drivers through giant poker chips. You know what an anarchy in the arena match is at this point, right? They're going around everywhere backstage, breaking all the rules, breaking all the shit, beating the piss out of each other. If that's your main event, why, in the name of any god of your choosing, would you have a barbed wire cage match in the mid card? All you're doing is sucking the air out of the high spots that are going to come later. And we'll talk about that when we get to the main event and talk about how flat the crowd was half the time, because partially they've already seen all of this shit tonight a couple hours ago in your fucking 7-hour pay-per-view. Why would you do this to yourself? If you really wanted to and you booked it right, a match like that, that's a main event or a co-main event type match, and it's certainly not a co-main event match in which there's a Hell in the Cell match right after. It makes no sense to me. You're cutting yourself off at the knees for what? For no reason, because nobody's in charge and everybody gets to book their own pay-per-view matches now too. I On its face, all by itself, I don't despise this barbed wire cage match. I think Edge is an absolute lunatic for that flying elbow drop spot and the way that he decided to take it. Didn't wanna go through the table, but decides to land on his feet from that high up. Brother, you're a decade or 2 older than me, and I know your knees and ankles have been put through more hell than mine. You cannot be feeling good today. I hope it was worth it. Um, I just but with somebody who had their career almost ended, uh, out of their control due to physical injury, I can't imagine wanting to take that spot again, for what? And the swerve turn where it looked for a second like there was gonna be a new Brood, I thought some of that was pretty cool. Edge coming out with his old music with the Brood artwork. Okay, neat. I see what he's doing. I know that they've been doing the vampire era House of Black. It's almost like they're kinda Edge is getting a chance to redo parts of the Judgment Day angle that he probably could have done if the WWE didn't rush through that, 'cause that was so shitty. That could have been really cool, the whole Edge. I mean, they should have just let Edge have the Judgment Day for longer, but let's not get too far off topic here. So having it for a second look like Buddy and Brody in what House of Black and your Buddy and Brody. I mean, what are we doing here? Very, very scary, ominous names, guys. Fucking Buddy Matthews. I'm just jealous. We're all just jealous of Buddy Matthews, to be honest. The swerve part could have been cool on its own. I just don't know about doing it on the show. Like, I don't a fake double cross and a double cross. I just don't overlap all of this stuff, on its own. These are all kind of minor critiques, but when you put it all together and put it in a very long, and oddly paced pay-per-view, they make these shows so damn long that when you have a big moment, uh, that like Chris Statlander turning on Willow Nightingale, that the announcers don't sit with it. They just kind of boom, here's an ad read. You got to keep it moving because you've overbooked this fucking thing, and it's already going to be longer than an extended version of the Two Towers. And you've got to fucking speed run through what should be the moments where you let it marinate a little bit. I mean, a Gangrel pop out of the ring and get the dub for Edge. Cool moment. I'm not going to hate on it. That's exactly the kind of thing that WWE has done a number of times, even the most recent WrestleMania. So I think it would be hypocritical to dog that part of it. I didn't have any issue there. Overall, just a decent match, and I'm glad that for this, I've gone back and forth, guys. When I take notes on these pay per views and PLEs, I've thought about just for shits and gigs doing a star system or something like that, but I never commit to it. And on a card like this, I'm kind of glad that I don't have a star system in place because I wouldn't even know how to judge this. Because if this match was on a different show that didn't have what would follow, I might feel better about it the next day. But there was just so much. It was too much of the same broken furniture shit that I again I don't understand doing that when your main event is the 8-man arena just destruction fest. I don't even know what to call it. So the other parts of the triple main event. Oh wait, no, I missed the Moxley versus Takeshita match. Sorry, I'm skipping around out of order here. Can I just say I hate title eliminator matches? It makes no sense to me to have any contender fight your champion in a non-title match. Call me dumb or old-fashioned, or a mark, whatever. I don't think a singles champion should ever fight in a singles match that is not a title defense. How many pro boxers fight with their belt where the belt's not on the line, unless it's because they're in a different organization fighting for a different belt or they're in a different weight class. See also the UFC. I just I don't understand the concept of an eliminator match and how it's supposed to translate to this sports-based presentation. And then you had Moxley win, which doesn't make sense to me. I know recently there's been a clip of Takeshita maybe essentially it could be lost in translation a little bit, but essentially saying he's not very happy. His time at AEW doesn't enjoy wrestling as much anymore. And if that is what he meant to say, I could kind of see it. What was the point of any of that? John Moxley, the IWGP champion, it's a non-title match, it's a title eliminator match. So I mean, you've protected him that much already. He comes out with his arm all padded up, so he's got the injury out. I thought maybe that was the idea, I guess, to swerve us. They set this up to be like, "Oh, we gave Moxley all the outs, and it's not even a title match." Of course, we're gonna put Takeshita, a guy who's got a lot more years in the tank and probably a lot less popular still with the AEW crowd than John Moxley. But no, that he still just badasses his way through it. I don't know if he's a heel or a face. He choked Takeshita with his bandage, which was, was a little Hogan versus Bundy esque. But I never know who's who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. I understand some of that is part of it, but I just thought this was the wrong call. Put Takeshita over. What does John Moxley need this non-title win for? Or if you need to give him a non-title win because IWGP doesn't want him losing while he's got their belt, then don't make it Takeshita because you should be wanting to build Takeshita up into one of your main event AEW championship level superstars. So don't have him lose a title eliminator match for a title that's not even yours. By the way, what? In hindsight, I should have seen it coming. I should have seen the Moxley thing coming. Oh, is it time for the Anarchy in Arena yet? No, because we have Swerve Strickland versus Christian Cage. Don't don't have much negative to say about this one. They found a creative way to get all of the extras off the set. First, you had Nana defend against some tomfoolery as Mother Wayne was creeping up the stairs with the AEW title belt. He came and took it from her. And of course, just like my hockey coach used to tell me, it's always the one who is always the second guy who gets caught, right? It's always the retaliator that pays the price. Nah, you're out of here. You get ejected. And wouldn't you know it, the stupid patriarchy, those stupid, dumb idiots, because they're dumb. You got three people out there and they're all on a different side of the ring, and somehow the ref still catches you. Or you may be doing a little too much. You already had such a huge advantage. All they had to do was pick their spot and wait. No, they get themselves caught. They're out of here too. Or are they? Because later in the match, Nick Wayne shows back up, does a little trickery, false finish. We think Cage is going to get the win, but wouldn't you know, Nana chases him out of the arena with a steel pipe. So now we're back to just a one-on-one and uh, back and forth until Swerve hits both of his finishers, puts Christian Cage down for the count. And that takes us now to the Anarchy in the Arena, and then we are going to get into a little bit of NFL talk while our boy Justin Herbert is still in the chat. Anarchy in the Arena. All right, I am going to try to keep this quick because I know I've talked about a little bit of this already. You know what? This is all Greek to me, but I'm here for it. I appreciate you, John. We'll get back to the football talk next, I promise. Okay, so Anarchy in the Arena was a 4-on-4 no tag match. So that means all 8 guys are elbow dropping, doing all of that stuff all at the same time, right? Which is why I was complaining earlier about the cage match. So we have our EVPs and Jack Perry and Okada taking on Team AEW, which is FTR, Darby Allin, and Bryan Danielson, the GOAT for a lot of folks. And this thing was overbooked to the moon. You have the villains come out, and then FTR jump starts it. So there is none of the faces get any intro music played, which is wild to me. You need to get the energy up in this place. It's been 6 fucking hours of wrestling probably at this point. It's been a long night. You might want to play the music of 2 of your most over stars. So what do? They just go ahead and play Darby's music when he sprints out there. They're just letting it play. And then which that turns into a bit, mind you. We're doing comedy now in the main event of our wrestling pay-per-view, which again, famously in UFC 200, I remember, when Brock Lesnar, in between round 1 and 2, he had a 5-minute open mic, right? He just was like, "Hey, I just flew in from Arizona and boy, are my arms tired." Oh, wait, no, that was the Kimura. No, you don't fucking crack jokes in the middle of your main event, wrestling match. I get it, guys. I understand. I know kayfabe. I know they decide who wins, but you don't have to break the it's not a fucking Deadpool movie, dude. You got this guy, "Why don't you play our new theme song?" And then they play the Young Bucks theme song for a minute, and Bryan Danielson says, "Oh, fuck that shit. No. Why don't you play the greatest entrance music in all time in all wrestling history?" And it's the final countdown. That's what I was talking about before. How much fucking money is Tony Khan going to spend? They had to fire people, mind you. Bloated roster, absolutely should be firing people. It's unfortunate, but you've overspent. Understand that much. Stop spending so much fucking money on this music, dude. I'll give you some Cosmic Jive beats at a huge discount. If you have to continue to pay for this music in order to get pops from the crowd anyway, that's a very bad sign. But goddamn, not only do they let the whole final countdown song play out, everybody's still fighting. I'm not talking much about the action, but just imagine one guy's in the ring, one guy's on the ramp, one guy's fighting another guy in a concession stand, and Darby Allin and Jack Perry are somehow in the parking lot running each other over with cars or something. I don't fucking remember. But Matthew Jackson then pulls up the microphone and says, "Hey, that cut that shit off. This costs us $200,000 every time you pay the shit." Which, haha, LOL. Wrestling Twitter gets it. We understand the joke. I refer you to my last rant. Why are we telling fucking jokes in the middle of your big main event? It's supposed to be for all the marbles. You're trying to relive 90s WCW in the worst way, by the way. It's like you're trying to revamp NWO versus WCW, and you got your team NWO here cracking fucking jokes like they're opening for Gallagher. It's ridiculous, dude. This is supposed to be high stakes. It's supposed to be the most important shit of your night. What are you doing here? So now we'll move through this much more quickly. Bunch of bullshit, a lot more bullshit, crazy spots, puts people through a table, through a poker chip, yada yada, and then the car wreck. Jack Perry runs over Darby Allin with his car, and in the process gets covered in gasoline. Great. Okay, well we know what's coming. Jack Perry grabs Tony Khan of all people, the boss of the company, the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars Sons. I told you we're getting back to football eventually. Grabs him. He's a character now. He's in his reality sports based wrestling program. He gets grabbed by a man covered in gasoline, and wouldn't you know it, Darby Allin comes back out on the ramp and lights Jack Perry on fire with a fucking Tesla flamethrower gun. This is the moment I was talking about earlier in the show, folks, where I said I was embarrassed to be a wrestling fan. That was the most ridiculous thing I've seen since Roman Reigns got his hands tied around the ring and Baron Corbin dumped an entire bucket of wet dog food on his head. That's the kind of shit that makes you not want to admit in public that you watch wrestling. They're like, "Oh, that fake shit." That some of us go out here and try to defend what is a very difficult job, a very skilled job. These guys, they're part actor, part athlete. They gotta go out there and get it in one take in front of a raucous crowd. There are no do-overs. Like, these guys and gals deserve some respect, but instead, you have them go out here and do this stupid shit to make a mockery of everything that anyone who's ever cared about this sport would love. And to knock it off, that didn't win the match. It didn't win. He lit a man on fire. And that wasn't the end of the match. No, no. We have more to talk about, folks, other than Tony Khan rolling down the ramp like he's in a fucking Wile E. Coyote cartoon. We still have more to talk about in this ridiculous match. At one point, Okada brings out sneakers that have thumbtacks in the bottom of them. Okay, great. So he also has an arm sleeve with thumbtacks in it. So lighting someone on fire didn't do it, but thumbtacks, that'll probably get us over. Darby's knocked out in the ring. They call down for a crane, like a wench of some kind. They've got this cable. They tie Darby Allin's feet up and hang him upside down. This man still recovering from a broken nose, mind you, and is bleeding profusely from the face. And I know we're not all scientists here, but for those who don't know, holding you upside down, a lot of blood going to rush to your head when you're bleeding from your head. Probably not a great idea. Might be kind of pouring gasoline onto a fire with that one. And he hangs up there for quite some time, folks. By the end of this match, the audience was chanting, "Please help Darby." They weren't chanting for someone to win or lose the match. They were chanting at the production studio, "Get this guy some fucking help. I think he's passed out up there." And wouldn't you know it, I don't even who took the fucking loss? I don't even remember. Was it Danielson? I think it was Danielson. Yeah, I gotta shouts out to Danielson trying to put people over on his way out. Takes everybody's finisher. He takes the bullshit short arm clothesline, the Rainmaker from Okada, takes an EVP trigger, 2 knees to the face, and then Jack Perry running knee, 1, 2, 3, and no reaction, no clapping, no cheering, no booing. As a wiser man than I once said, flatter than a plate full of piss. And there you have it, folks. That is why AEW Double or Nothing left such a bitter taste in my mouth. I wanted to like the card. I liked a lot of it coming in. Way too many matches. Tony needs to start separating this stuff, tell longer stories. And there was enough in here for 2 pay-per-views. And instead we got one bloated, overbooked pay-per-view that ran way too long, that just had the audience exhausted by the end. Quick note, I want to acknowledge it. This was a Vegas crowd. Notoriously, not everyone at an event in Vegas is there for the event, so it's possible there were just a few more casuals in the mix, but you go back and watch it. Don't take my word for it. I can't play any clips or my channel will get nuked into a vault. But you go look at it yourself and you tell me why only half the people in the first 3 rows are reacting and shit. You still got folks trying. They're doing chants, they're clapping, they're doing stuff. Then you got other folks in the front row during your main event with both forearms on the guardrail, just fucking sitting there. Hello, darkness, my old friend. We're done talking about wrestling today, folks. Thank you so much for humoring me. All right, I got to catch up on some chat. I think we've got a Justin Herbert and John fight going on. Again, appreciate you. This is all Greek to me, but I'm here for it. Justin, King and Queen of the Ring, fuck AEW. You know, generally speaking, I prefer WWE to AEW. I spoke my piece about the King and Queen of the Ring before the AEW stuff, so I would love it if you would check it out. Let me know what you thought, but um, time will tell. We'll see. Tell Adrian Peterson to pipe down. Bite size Vikes right here, real quick. In response to Kyrie and Luca being called the clutchest duo of all time, Paul Pierce said, Ray Allen and I have something to say about that. My thoughts. Right. This is the equivalent of Paul Pierce is the guy in the group project who showed up to every session hungover, didn't really do any work, was kind of on his phone the whole time. But then when somebody else clutches up for him, he's like, oh, yeah, we did that, dude. Yeah, that was me. I did that. No, not saying Paul Pierce had zero clutch, but Ray Allen is the clutch one of that duo. And I mean, what are you gonna say now? Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins, one of the clutchest duos of all time. Like, just pair Steph with anyone he's ever played with, one of the clutchest duos of all time. I'm not here to play that game. I would argue Paul Pierce was the 3rd or 4th most important player on that team. I don't know. Maybe now Rondo gets the credit he deserves. Maybe not quite now. Maybe there was a period. Rondo was an all-star caliber player there as well, who did so much to facilitate, got a bunch of rebounds, got clutch steals. I don't know. But miss me with the clutchest duo of all time, Paul. Not surprised here. Paul Pierce has honed in on the gimmick of, I'm going to be the dude who just says dumb shit. I'm going to say, you know, stuff that's going to rile people. I'm going to have a controversial take. I'm going to say some stuff to get people talking about me. I'm going to go on Instagram live with some strippers, anything for attention, really, Paul Pierce. So, shit, I should have waited a week to say that. I'm going to sound just like a very jaded Pacers fan on this one, but no. Come back to me in a few months. I'll still have this take on Paul Pierce. Fuck the Khan family and fuck the Jags. Well, I definitely agree with that second one, Justin. Appreciate the comment as always. And of course, we've got to, oh man, I got to take that down. We got somebody in the Facebook sphere. We got a con that just liked the post. Thank you. All right. I don't speak. Herbert does not speak for me. All right. Especially if Tony is hiring. Interesting take, by the way. One last wrestling bit. I thought it was funny for Vince Russo to make a tweet saying, Tony Khan, you really suck at this. Also, are you hiring? Bro, moving on. Bite Size Vikes, you guys fucked up letting us get Troy Dye. Clutch's duo, Eric Snow and Allen Iverson. I think it's close to be honest, but of course, Pierce is the guy speaking on it. Ray Allen in round 1 of the 09 playoffs versus Bulls was fucking crazy. I'm Paul Pierce in the flesh. Oh, and an unfortunate bit of news here. I'm going to have to find us a different outro segment because this is very sad. Bill Walton has passed away. I'm just hearing this now. Rest in peace to a legend, man. Not only in the booth, I think a lot of people, even my age or younger, will only know Bill Walton as the color commentator and one of Frank Caliendo's greatest impressions. I could hear sounds, I could smell colors. Bill Walton, not only a basketball legend, but a pretty far out hippie as well. One of my personal heroes. Sad to hear of his passing. This is different. So usually when this happens on the clout route, it's Danny brings us up when someone bad died, and then we play the crab rave song and do like a little dance. But I don't want to do that for Bill. I miss you, Bill. Thoughts and prayers to his family. A legend who will be missed. If you don't know about Bill Walton, do yourself a favor. Go on YouTube or Twitter and look up some Bill Walton highlights. My man was a dog in college. He was a dog for the Blazers. Like most 7-footers, especially in that era, had some joint problems, knee and ankle problems, sort of derailed that career, but he was a valuable contributor off the bench to that 80s Celtics team, that late 80s Celtics team that we all love so much. So definitely worth your time if you're not up on the Bill Walton lore. In remembrance of him, go check it out. Rest in peace to a legend. Bite Size Bike says, "You, sir, fucked up allowing us to get Jerry Tilly." I love this, by the way. Love the fighting in the chat. If you're not in our Discord yet, right now, our chat is a very good indicator of what life is like in the Bite Size Sports Discord. And bear with me for a second because I'm getting you an invite right here, posted in the comment section right there. Join our Discord if you would like to make your day a little bit better by talking shit to your favorite sports fans in our chat, sharing memes, all that kind of good stuff. How soon is too soon for me to do my impression of him describing heaven? I wish I knew Bill Walton so I could speak confidently on this, but he seems like the kind of guy who would appreciate the homage. I can only speak for myself and say, hey, if at any point in time one of you guys has an awesome Kev impression, I don't need to be even in the ground yet. I can be dead for about 5 minutes. Start memeing me, you know, do some like rest in peace, egg shaped tombstones. I'm all here for it. Laughter is how some people cope, also. So, you know what? Fire away on them Bill Walton impressions. If anybody is mad at you, tell them that I told you to do it. Uh, the impressions might get me over the paid threshold on Twitter. So that'd be bittersweet, but wouldn't be all bad. 1977 champ Bill Walton. That is correct. Don't call him a bum. Come on, Herbert. What are you doing? Oh wait, he's talking about Jerry Tilley, not Bill Walton. Okay, sorry. Jumped the gun on that one, guys, gals. Anybody in between and online, the bots watching on Twitter, if with their dudes in profile. We appreciate all of you so much for hanging out with me today. Forgive the impromptu stream. We missed the bounce this week. Big news coming. The Thursday night bounce show. We're going to finish out the NBA season, of course. So we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming. But things are going to change around here with Bite Size. We don't have the same schedule of live shows that we had previously. So doing an NBA focused show isn't doesn't quite make the same sense that it used to. So we are going to be going back to supersized sports, doing streams just like this, but hopefully and probably with some of my cohorts on stream with me, where we will cover multiple topics. We'll cover baseball, basketball, football. I will probably still do the wrestling minute, and we'll just have guests come and go as they please. Sometimes, hopefully, I will have a full-time co-host sitting there with me who can probably, just go take a bathroom break when I rant about wrestling for 8 straight minutes. But it'll be fun nonetheless. So please, if you are not subscribed, as my good friend Danny would say, go get that D, baby. Slap that D on the back of that subscribe button. Give us a like if you could. Share with your friends, especially if they are wrestling marks like me. But keep in tune. You can find us also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Bite Size Sports at all of those places. I also encourage you to visit our website, bitesizesports.com. Johnny here in the chat and our boy Josh have been writing some excellent NFL articles on our website. Go check it out. Get a sneak peek at Trevor's betting model so you can get ahead of the game for next year's NCAA tournament. Got more big announcements, like I mentioned. Gates, the Sniper Cook, and Sydney Leith, now part of Team Bite Size, or we are part of their team. However, I'm going to keep saying Team Bite Size because it makes me feel pretty cool. It makes me feel like I'm an important kind of guy. But they're the important ones, so go check them out. Sydney Leith, Gates, the Sniper Cook. Do not miss their upcoming fights. You can find me, guys, on Twitter at @KevNevick_. Now it's the time for me to promo and pitch all the other things that I do. So appreciate you all for 90 minutes of hanging out, especially considering some of the technical difficulties we dealt with. Tuesday night, Sunday night, 6:30 to 8:30. Come hang out with your two favorite eggs on the Clout Route, the fastest growing comedy podcast in my neighborhood. Thank you very much. I checked. I asked around. I'm not a yeah, I got anyway, we won't talk about it, but I can confirm that, okay? Fastest growing comedy podcast in my entire neighborhood. You won't wanna miss it. Weeb, Wednesdays, 9 PM, Han Shot First, talking Star Wars with James. We've now got the weekly Dweeb on Mondays, 6 PM. Not today, mind you, it's Memorial Day. I'm just a crazy person and wanted to spend some of my God-given freedom doing what I love, all right? Almost cookout time, though, so I digress. Subscribe to Dweeb, 2 D's in the front. First D is silent. Don't worry about it. Cosmic Jive. If you've enjoyed the music that you heard tonight playing in the background, that was all me. Actually, I make beats under the name Cosmic Jive, so you can find me anywhere you like music, Spotify, Apple, YouTube Music, all that stuff. I am there. Much obliged to you if you do listen. I greatly appreciate you guys. Have no idea how cool it is to see those new views come in. Carnage Unleashed Wednesdays, 7:30 p.m. I already talked a lot about Carnage Media stuff earlier in the show. So if you're just now getting here, hit that rewind button. We're almost at the end anyway, so you can hear all about what we're doing over at Carnage Media. But Wednesday nights at 7:30 and most Saturday nights we will have pay-per-views. Be sure you are following at Carnage Media pay-per-view so you won't miss any. And when I'm not calling fights on Saturday nights, I am the official voice of the Lima Warriors football team, part of the Players Football Association. Shout out to our boys. They got an away game this weekend. I will not be there. I do all of the home games, though. So if you're in the Lima area, come say hi to us. And if not, you can watch the streams on the Lima Warriors Facebook page. I believe a YouTube channel is incoming. And if they will let me, we will be posting the videos on the Black Swamp Productions page if they don't decide to create their own. So I think that about does it, guys. Thank you to all of my teammates here at Bite Size Sports and at Dweeb. You guys are wonderful. I know you're not all here to listen to this now, but I just wanted to say thank you all so much. Big thank you to everyone in the chat today. Justin, John, Nate, all the homies. We greatly appreciate you. You guys make it a lot easier and hopefully a lot more entertaining for our beloved lurkers in the audience by continuing to keep the conversation going, bringing up things I may not have thought to talk about. So you are invaluable to this program, and we thank you very much for spending your leisure time with us because that is, you could be doing literally anything with this time. You chose to spend it with us today, and we are in your debt for that. So I'm out of here. All right. I'm done kissing your ass. Happy Memorial Day. Thank you to everyone who has served and any of the families that have been affected or impacted. You know, if you have a loved one who has served, thank you as well, because I know that that is a burden that everyone in the family shares in. So uh, much love to the troops. Happy Memorial Day. Enjoy your cookout. I'm finally out of here. I swear to God, I'm shutting up. Like and subscribe. Please enjoy this ad. Sports. Are you looking for an energy boost without the jitters? Let our friends at Dubby Energy help you with their fantastic selection of flavors. Just visit www.dubby.gg and use the code BITESIZESPORTS at checkout for 10% off your order total. Again, that is www.dubby.gg. Code BITESIZESPORTS.